Alright, welcome to CAD, and today we're going to be starting with a very simple thing called the Freshman block thing, and we have to start SolidWorks. So if we go down at the Windows icon, it comes up with all the stuff. Sometimes it'll be like recently added, SolidWorks 20, whatever the current year is, may be there, but if not, use the center mouse button, the roller, and get down to SolidWorks. And find SolidWorks 20, whatever current year it is. So in this case, 2021. And give it a second to boot. Or possibly 2 seconds. It's still thinking. And sometimes while it's booting also, a SolidWorks icon may be in the taskbar and that is pinned. You can just click on it and go. Okay, and it has booted up. And here we go. There's SolidWorks. So sometimes it comes up with things that have been worked on earlier. But in this case, we're just going to close it. And we're going to go up here, we're going to go File, New. It should give you some choices here. You're going to hit Part. Just select Part, and you're going to hit OK. And it's going to think a little bit more. Remember, this software does a lot of math, so booting it up is not the quickest thing. And a couple things that you need to set up to start this part. So the first thing down here, you're going to see where it says IPS in the lower right. You're going to click on that. You're going to take it and click onto MMGS because we're doing this in millimeters. And then you have the eyeball icon here in the center. The first thing I'm going to do is just look at the drop down. So the eyeball is turned on, and one thing you want to make sure you have turned on is the origin. Okay, this little blue L shows up, and then you just click somewhere in the screen. And I'm going to drag in the part just quickly. This is the part that you guys are going to be drawing. And we're going to start off with the very basic side view of the C. So we know the C is 50 millimeters thick here and 50 here. We know this back wall is 47. The overall length is 224. And the top edge of this C, we're not going to the very top, but this right here is going to be 225 minus the 25 over here. So it'll be an even 200. So we're going to go over here and we're going to select the front plane. Okay, so now the L is sort of like facing you, the origin. And then you're going to go into your design tree, click on front plane, and you're going to turn on sketch. And SolidWorks allows you to sketch very basic shapes. So we're going to start with having picked up the origin. We're going to go vertical, and you can see there's also a little yellow line that indicates that it's vertical. And we're going to draw a very basic C. So we know that sort of it looks like this, and you just have to make sure that each one of these lines, you can see they're, if they're not horizontal like it's shown right now, then it's not going to work right. And in this case, you're going to go down and you can see it's horizontal or vertical because of the yellow. But you also notice as I was moving down, it picks up like a sort of like a dotted line telling you that it's even with the origin. So you click and then you go back to the origin and it has closed. Now while we're here, we're going to go into Smart Dimension. And we know that the base from the drawing is 224. And the happy check mark. And then we know that this, still in Smart Dimension, you're going to grab this. And we know this is 50 tall. And then what else do we know? We know the thickness here, from here to here, was 47. And then we know the top one is also 50. I'm going to type that in. All right, have the check marked. And we know from the drawing that it sticks out 124 millimeters. know that the height we discussed earlier, or very quickly, was the 225 minus the step, which was 25. So you can also do simple math within SolidWorks. So 225 minus 25, happy check mark, and there it is, 200. And you can see all the lines have turned in black. So in SolidWorks, black is beautiful, and it tells us that everything is fully dimensioned. And then if I go here, I can go to a isometric view, and then I can go into, still staying within the sketch, I can go into features, which is up here on the left, and I'm going to do an extruded boss. And if I look back at the drawing, I know, let's see, that the width of this is 274. That's this direction. And I'm going to want to do a mid-plane. So you click that, and then its thickness right now is set to a default of 10 millimeters. But what I can do is double click in here. You see it turns into a blue, and then I can turn that to 274. And then if I just click mid-plane again, you can see how it has extruded itself and hit the happy check mark. And at this point, you're going to want to save it. So you go up here and you go save as, right? So, and should be on your desktop. So you click desktop, and then you're going to type in whatever your last name is. So for me, I'm just going to put Z. Okay. But please put your whole last name in. So that's the first part of this part, right? So if I refer back to the drawing, we've drawn sort of like this C, okay, which has given us the basis of the whole part. SolidWorks itself is trying to figure out what works the best when you're drawing things. So well, let's drag the drawing back in quickly, and you can see there's a hole here at the bottom, a square hole. And we can see that it is from the back edge 124, from this front edge it would be 274 divided by 2, and we can see that it's an 80 millimeter square hole. It has a little square icon. And what I'm going to want to do is I'm going to go to here, and as I hover, right, it says front, right side. I want to do bottom view. So you can sketch on planes like you just saw with the front plane, but you can also sketch on a surface itself. So we're going to sketch, or select the surface, then we're going to sketch, turn on sketch again, and then we have choices with the rectangle. We're going to want to do a center rectangle, and again, as I'm hovering, you can see it lines itself up with the origin. So there's those dotted lines. So you're going to click and drag. And then we're going to tell it how big it is. We're going to say 80. And 80. Okay. And it's moved it off center, but don't worry about that. Because the next thing we're going to do is we're going to grab its center point and the edge. And we know that the overall width is 274, but it's divided. So we'll do some simple math. 274 divided by 2. And it moves it. And we know from the back edge, from this back edge, it was 124. So again, we're going to pick up the center. So we're going to hover over the center of the square, and then the back edge, and it is 124. And a happy check mark, okay? And it's black again. Black is beautiful. We're going to go back to ISO. All right, so it's there, and we're going to go into features, and we're going to do an extruded cut. And we're going to do what it should be called up to the next, which means the next surface that it runs into. And then happy check mark, and you should have a square hole. At this point, you would just hit save quickly, because you always want to save your work just in case you lose power or something exciting like that. And now we're going to move to the top view. All right, and we're going to sketch again on a surface. We're going to grab this. And sketch, and sketch, and here we have something that's 174. So if we look here, we're going to be doing this top block, so we know it's 174 wide, It's the full width of this top part of the C, and it's located 50 millimeters from the edge. So I'm in sketch, sketch, and then we're going to do a corner rectangle. And we're going to grab the edge. You see it sort of turns dotted. And we're going to drag it until we pick up the other edge where you see it turns dotted again. And first thing we're going to do is say, hey, we know that it is 174 wide. All right, and we know that it is located from either edge 50 millimeters. And there we go. And you can see it's black again. And then if I go to ISO, there it is. And then we go to features, and we're going to extrude that. And we know from the drawing that it is 25 millimeters tall. Okay. And if you find that this is going not the right way, so if I hit blind, now it's going into the part, but you don't want it that way, you can do the flippy arrow deal, and it'll flip it upwards, and the happy check mark. And there's that little profile. Again, save. And then we're going to do, looks like it's a right side view because we're going to be sketching on this surface. So if I go to my right side view, I select that surface, sketch, and sketch, and then a circle. Again, if I do the, see how it hovers over the origin and the dots show up, you draw some circle. We know from the drawing that it's 50 millimeters in diameter. So we're using Smart Dimension again. Okay. But it's still not fully defined. And we know from the drawing that it is 35 millimeters from the very top edge. So we're going to go top edge to the center. 35. And we also know that it's centered about the part, so we're going to grab the center of the circle like I just did, pick an edge. All right. And we know that it is the 274 divided by 2. And the happy check mark. It's black, right? So it's fully defined to where it needs to live. Back to another isometric view. And then we go into features. Now we're going to do a cut extrude. And we're going to select in the direction the through all. So you see it sort of gives you a preview with the circle in the background in yellow. Happy check mark. Save. And then if you use your middle mouse button and hold it, you can grab it and rotate it. At this point, when you're done with that, you will make either the instructor or possibly a senior who is helping out the instructors, and you just say, hey, can you come over and take a look at my part? I have finished the first of 2 SolidWorks files. Now myself, I've been doing this for a bajillion years, and it really took me about, with the instructions for you guys, about 12 minutes to draw. It may take you guys a little longer. Don't let yourself get frustrated. Okay. And then when you're done, like I said, I always like to save one more time. And then what we're going to do is once you've shown somebody that you have finished this part, you're going to go up here and you are going to close SolidWorks.